Hello, you are watching channel Top 5. We are accustomed to treat animals as creatures without self-awareness and living by instinct alone. But today I will show you incredible cases filmed on camera that will greatly shake your idea of our smaller brothers. First, let's start with a case at the Budapest Zoo. Crow tried to steal a piece of food from the bear, but accidentally landed in the pool and still couldn't get out. It seemed that nothing would help her, but then the bear did something incredible. He began to help the crow get out. The clubfoot grabbed her by the wing and pulled her land. In the beginning it might have seemed that he had done this in order to eat an unhappy bird, but no, the bear simply pulled it out and continued to do its own things. The crow came to her senses and sat for a long time waiting for her wings to dry. Next, we have a case in one of the US zoos. The clumsy kid fell into the pond and still could not get out. He called for help for a long time and help came. One very brave little pig jumped after him, swam to him and pushed the poor fellow ashore. And if you remember, we already talked about the case when one piglet managed to save a person's life. So one of the account of these animals, there are already 2 points. Next comes the case of 2 dogs who were alone on a boat in the middle of a river. Apparently, the boat accidentally untied and swam with the stream. The frightened dogs began to bark loudly, and here, out of nowhere, the Labrador swims to their aid and swims against the tide. Labrador grabbed the cable and pulled the boat to the shore, rescuing his comrades. In general, dogs often save not only their relatives but also other animals, such as this dog who pulled a sinking sparrow from a pond. The fourth one. What can cats do when surrounded by dogs? But for example, fight among themselves. One guy managed to capture unique cases when dogs separated fighting cats. It's funny, but even people do not always separate the fighting men in the middle of the street. Probably we have something to learn from animals. A few years ago, a very moving video appeared on the internet where one horse feeds his neighbor with hay through the bars, and feeding continued for quite some time. Maybe it's love. The fifth one. We moved to Africa where a few years ago an interesting incident occurred in front of tourists. A lonely wild beast was walking in the meadow when suddenly a lion appeared and chased the unfortunate. Naturally, the cub had no chance to escape and the lion quickly overtook him. But then it happened something amazing. The predator didn't kill, and there is an antelope cub. He just stood next to it and even began to play with the kid. You might think that this game is a cat and a mouse. However, another lion soon ran up and tried to attack and eat the cub himself. But his brother didn't let him do this. The question is, what is wrong with this cat? Did pity play? Or maybe the parental instinct has awakened? Or maybe the predator just guards his lunch? So one would think, if it weren't for the famous story of a lioness named Communiac, who managed to adopt 6 antelope cubs. She lived with her first cub for 2 weeks and didn't eat anything all this time. Once, while she was exhausted from hunger, was lying under a tree. Another lion attacked from an ambush and dragged her foster baby. But a month later the lioness was already walking with a new baby antelope, though soon the reserve workers took him from her because he was too small to survive without mother's milk. With the third baby, the same fate of 4 and 5 cubs turned out to be similar to the fate of one. They were eaten by alien lions, but the 6th was lucky. His mother survived, and the lioness even allowed her to approach the baby and feed him, after which she again took care of herself, trying not to encroach on the life of the mother of the antelope. not on the life of her son. Sometime later, the lioness left the adoptive cubs of his biological mother and left in an unknown direction. Since then, no one has seen her again. The reason for such a strange behavior of the predator most likely lies in her past. Perhaps her own cubs were once killed, and the maternal instinct relocated a bloodthirst that turned a ferocious lioness into a tender and caring mother. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Bye bye.